I'm Jonathan Knight. It's the 22nd of January 2018. I'm here at the County Ground Derby and I'm talking to
Chris Sheldon.
Thanks, Chris. We did the first part of the interview about your initial volunteering with the ECB, and we're now going to talk about the 2017 Women's World Cup. So if you could just give a brief overview of what you were doing, and then we'll go into the matches in a little bit more detail.
So the 2017 Women's World Cup, proud for Derbyshire Cricket Club and Derby in itself to be allocated one of the grounds for the Women's World Cup. My role again for the Women's World Cup was working in the media centre, but also assisting from time to time as a flag bearer for one of the two teams that will be playing at Derby Cricket Club. Very proud to have this as a fixture, putting Derby on the world's map, especially the opening game. That was beamed live around the world, a sellout at Derbyshire Cricket Club. Very, very proud to be a resident of Derby and a supporter of Derbyshire Cricket Club.
That was England women against India women.
That was indeed, yes.
Which had a little opening ceremony, and it must have been quite a sight to see. I saw it as a spectator, but the children running on in the opening ceremony.
Yes, I mean leading up to the fixture, you knew something big was happening in the city. For days, it was on the local radio. It was the local schools were talking about it. Club cricket was talking about it. Leading up to the day in question, it was a sellout. There was a number of school children as far afield as the South England, mixed with a number of school children from the local area, and it was a great honour to see Derby hosting the first game in the Women's World Cup.
So your role again was media, mainly in the media centre. Can you just go through? Well,
again, as previous tournaments, my role, along with 2 or 3 other volunteers in the media centre, was making sure that the world's journalists that was in the media centre, as well as the satellite production crews, along with various photographers around the pitch, was making sure that they had everything they required for them to do their job. So again, you started to build up a trust with the photographers. You started to build up a trust with the world's journalists, making sure that they had everything so they could concentrate on their job in question.
And you said in your previous interview about you having some team interaction. Was part of your role that, or
you were always in the media centre? You were always looking after the teams. Well, one of the 2 teams that was playing. Sometimes their media manager would be in the media centre, or they would be coming in and out of the media centre. So you were starting to build a rapport with them, making sure they were comfortable, making sure they had everything. Did they require anything? But also, as with the teams, as part of my duty, I was asked to help out on many occasions as part of the flag ceremony for the games. So I was meeting the children, I was meeting some of the players behind the scenes, and I'm meeting other representatives from the sport.
Yeah. You've spoken about being involved with the first game, proud that it was England against India, and Derby had a number of big games, but there can't be anything bigger than India against Pakistan in any sport. Would you like to talk a little bit about your experiences of the day?
Well, anybody who knows anything about the game of cricket or any sport, where, as you say, where you've got India versus Pakistan playing, they are sellouts. The game was a sellout. Derbyshire Cricket Club could have sold tickets twice over. Again, leading up to the fixture, you knew something big was happening in the city. There was people out in the city selling flags, selling scarves, selling memorabilia, mementos for the game. On the day in question, the crowd, as everybody predicted, was enormous. You would have thought it wasn't a cricket game you were coming to. You would have thought it was a big football match you were coming to. There was people outside the main gates asking people, do they have any spare tickets? Do you have any tickets I can get? You can sell me. There was a lot of people outside the ground trying to get in, just as there was people with tickets trying to get in. In fact, there was one or two people I noticed with tickets either appearing out of their back pocket, or the ladies would have a ticket somehow producing out of their handbags, and they were told by one or two members of the security staff, your ticket is hanging out, keep your ticket tucked away, because the people will try and get your tickets from you to enable them to get into the ground. Such was the big thing of everybody wanted to see that India versus Pakistan.
I remember particularly the match, and it was a very hot day. Did that add to the atmosphere?
It certainly helped with the atmosphere. I think when India play Pakistan anywhere, you don't need the perfect weather conditions to create the atmosphere. The Indian supporters created their own atmosphere no matter where they are, and the Pakistan fans got involved as well. For ourselves, the hot weather was probably the last thing we wanted, because we was always in and around the pitch making sure the photographers had plenty of water and plenty of fluids.
And the rivalry, I know you talk of India-Pakistan. Was it friendly? Was it the atmosphere?
Oh, the atmosphere between India and Pakistan supporters was fantastic. It was friendly banter. There was no animosity between the two sets of supporters. It was a basic. I think we decided it was which set of supporters was going to try and make the loudest noise. The Indian supporters tended to congregate in one section of the ground, and the Pakistan supporters congregated in another section of the ground. And it was a case of, we're going to try and make more noise than you. So with that just created the atmosphere in itself. And what it must have sounded like from the two batsmen out in the square must have been a fantastic feeling.
So although again the match ended up as a bit of a damp squib, with India outplaying, it just was a carnival atmosphere. The whole day really was a carnival atmosphere.
From start to finish was a whole atmosphere. In fact, the carnival started outside in the confines of the car park or outside of the gates. That's where the carnivals started, because the noise of the Indian supporters were generating, along with the noise of the Pakistan fans that they were generating, was just an absolute carnival, even before they got into the ground.
Yeah, that's interesting. We'll start to end the interview, but I'd like to just talk about the semi-final.
Yes.
India against Australia, where India pulled off. They'd beaten England, so whether it was a shock or not, but there was rain about, and the match was reduced. What are your experiences of that?
Well, I recall the day very well. Everybody turned up on a wet, miserable, gloomy morning, wondering if there was going to be any play at all. Assisting and helping out into the media centre, we were open to quite a lot of behind the scenes talking by representatives from the ICC and match officials, unbeknownst to the general public. So we were getting an idea that the long range weather forecast was always going to be good from around about 3-4 o'clock onwards on that day. At one stage, they weren't quite sure whether the play was going to be abandoned for the day and it was all going to be come back the following day. It wasn't until word got around the media centre and the ICC officials that all of their accommodation had been cancelled and they'd been checked out. So we knew play was going to get underway from around about 4-5 o'clock time. We just weren't quite sure on the amount of overs that it was going to go down to. Luckily, the crowd stayed behind. Some of the crowd did leave, thinking that well, we'll come back at a later date or a later time for it. But again, everybody was in a carnival atmosphere. I know two of the teams took the children that have been here from the crack of dawn and just wanted to do their bit. The players from both teams took them into the dressing room, gave them some mementos, signed autographs, played with the children in the nets, and played with the children out on the outside of the field, whilst the playing staff were getting the pitch ready.
Yeah. And was there an expectation that India could beat Australia, or was it, or was it, was the feelings when they first turned up that Australia were going to go to Lords and play England in the final?
I think everybody's view was that, well, Australia played that well during the warm-up games and their group games, though India had started very well in their groups, they'd gone through a period of they were starting to not play as well as they started to play in the opening group games. So it was a view that Australia will win this, and they will go to Lords and they will want to face England. Talking to the Indian journalists, they obviously knew. They said they knew that it was going to be India's day. How it happened can only be put down to a fairy tale, really, of India outplaying Australia, not only in batting but also in the field as well.
Yeah. I think India did that a number of times. I mean, you wouldn't have thought they'd beat England, and then when in a pressure match of the semi-final to turn up as they did, and Australia were never really in it.
No, and I think they owed it. I think India owed it to themselves, because obviously the game that they played against England here, England certainly started off very nervous. That was, everybody could see that, whether you knew about cricket or you didn't. You could see that the England players were very nervous. India took that to their advantage. But then through the group games, India started to tail off, and I think they decided turning up here against Australia, when a majority of people had already said that Australia was going to win the game, India were here just to make up the numbers. I think India owed it not only to themselves, but to everybody back home in India watching the game, and everybody in the UK who was following Indian cricket. They decided that enough is enough. We owe it to ourselves to put on the performances that we did, and boy, did they put on a performance.
Yeah. And they carried that over to the final.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I'd now just like to end this interview with just a question about the new media centre. That it opened in 2016, but really wasn't fully running until 2017. What was the general consensus about the new media centre, rather than the old facilities?
Well, if you look back at the old facilities that the media had here at Derbyshire Cricket Club, yes, it had to be updated, and they had to move on with the times. The new media centre is second to none. The facilities there are fantastic, just as good as any other county cricket club in cricket. And during the tournament, there was the media and the reporters reporting on the game for any of the satellites, for Star Sports, Sky Sports, Radio 5 Live, Radio 5 Live Extra, all said at the end of the tournament how much the facilities, how good were the facilities, and how well they've been looked after, not only by their representatives, but ourselves as volunteers.
That's good to hear. Yeah, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was very interesting.
Thank you.
Thanks.